Supreme Court said that passport is a major document proving the citizenship. They said ration card is not, but passport is. Now, my worry, Sanket, comes by reading the Passport Act. And as you look at the Passport Act, it's Section 6, Clause 2, Subclause A says that you cannot make an application to apply for a passport if you are not a citizen of India. Rather than you asking me to prove my citizenship, if you say that you have doubt about my citizenship, you have to give the proof of that doubt. If tomorrow, let us say, out of 145 crore Indians, 30 crores are not able to prove their citizenship, where will you deport them? Tell me, which country is going to accept 30 crores?
Hello and welcome. You're watching me, Sanket Upadhyay, on The Federal. The show is called AI with Sanket. This is the AI of news, because news in India today requires not artificial but analytical intelligence. Is passport a proof of citizenship or not? Why is it that for so many years, passport was considered a foolproof way of proving your citizenship, though technically speaking, the government is right that it is just a travel document? Then, on the point of technicality, the government is also right that Aadhaar is not a citizenship proof. On a position of technicality, voter ID is not a citizenship proof. Ration card isn't. A lot of other documents, PAN card, nothing is a proof of citizenship. The problem here is that we do not know with great clarity what is proof of citizenship, apart from a birth certificate. Because if that is the case, then there is ambiguity. There are many people in this country who may not have birth certificates. Then how do you prove that somebody is a citizen or not? And is this all leading up to a larger debate of having a national register of citizens and then eventually some sort of a citizenship card? And if the argument being made is that all these cards so far, there could be a situation where these cards could be forged, there could be cheating, then what is the guarantee that if there is an exercise like NRC and eventually a citizenship card, there will be no forgery of those documents? To perhaps weigh in, I have a very special guest this evening. We have Professor Faizan Mustafa. You've seen him on TV. You've heard him right here on The Federal. Thank you very much, Professor Mustafa. I just want to know your initial views on this whole passport not proof of citizenship debate.
Sanket, thank you very much. First, in response to what you have said, there can be forgery of even the currency notes. So in the BNS, there are provisions on the counterfeiting of currency notes. We know that one of the object of the demonetization was to remove this fake currency from circulation. Similarly, you said birth certificate. Now, birth certificate is not a proof of nationality. So number of diplomats in India, their children are taking birth here, but they don't become citizen of India. So birth certificate too, if you are in United States and you are born there, then the birth certificate itself is enough to confer the US citizenship. This is the law which President Trump wants to change, but he's facing litigation, and their courts at times are exercising more independence than many developing countries' courts. Now, to this whole clarification which the Ministry of External Affairs has given, as I have written in my piece in Indian Express today, that yes, legally speaking, it is just a travel document, nothing more than that. It is not a certificate which certifies your citizenship. But just about a couple of weeks ago, before the Supreme Court closed for the summer break, Supreme Court gave a judgment, a long judgment on SIR of Bihar, where Supreme Court said that passport is a major document proving the citizenship. They said ration card is not, but passport is. Now, my worry, Sanket, comes by reading the Passport Act. And as you look at the Passport Act, its Section 6, Clause 2, Subclause A says that you cannot make an application to apply for a passport if you are not a citizen of India. I understand that there is an exception in Section 20, but that is rare of rare situation. Normally, when somebody is making an application for a passport, he has to say that I am citizen of India. In fact, if it is found that somebody is not a citizen of India, it is punishable crime. Your punishment will be minimum of 1 year and maximum of 5 years. Then my passport, for instance, the first passport which was issued to me, it has a seal which says citizen of India. Subsequently, that column was dropped, it seems. There are senior citizens in India whose senior citizenship card also certifies them that they are citizen of India, because senior citizen means you are citizen in the first place. So I think that something on which law is settled, technically speaking, yes, but this whole clarification has created anxieties in the minds of millions of Indians. And that's why you have seen that all newspapers, all TV channels, YouTube channels, yesterday and day before, and even today, there are memes on this, that I have this, I have this, I have that, but you are not citizen, you have not citizen. And then somebody says, I have the tickets of that film. And then say, okay, then fine, it's so there are propaganda films. If you
That's a Professor Faizan Mustafa Dhurandhar argument that you have made.
So the whole question is, for a country of our size, we decided somehow not to have any citizenship card. Then we provided for it in the law, in the rules which have been made under the Citizenship Act in 2003, after the 2003 amendment to Citizenship Act. But it has been good 23 years. The rules came into being in 2004, and no effort has been made, and probably rightly so, because any massive exercise to determine citizenship will involve, just like SIR has led to removal of lakhs of people from the voter list, removal of crores of people. My guess is that it will be maybe 25, 35 crore people who, strictly speaking, may not have documents to prove their citizenship or prove the citizenship of their parents, which will be required if they were born after 1987 or after 2003. Then their parents' citizenship should also be determined. And therefore, I had suggested that in a situation like this, we should create a presumption of citizenship. The question which people who are familiar with the law, particularly evidence law, are aware that there are various kinds how a thing is proved, how the court looks if a dispute arises. So one thing is called taking judicial notice. Just to give you an example, Justice Swaminathan, just day before yesterday, gave a judgment that if a higher caste Hindu converts to Islam, it's a case from Tamil Nadu, then he cannot say that I am a backward class Muslim. And he said, I am taking judicial notice of that in Quran, it is said that all human beings are equal. Even though that general verse in Quran does not reflect the realities of our social life. And the learned judge has acknowledged in the judgment, 15-page order, he says, yes, Christians in India have caste system and Muslims in India have also caste system. But when you are converted from any religion to Islam, you become a Muslim. You do not become X caste Muslim and Y caste Muslim. and subsequently it is a particular caste which has to admit you to their particular caste thing. So there are, like, sun rises from the east. If you ask me to prove it, I need not take the judge that, okay, tomorrow morning sunrise at 4:57 in Patna, let's look towards east and we will see sunrises from east. The court will take a judicial notice of it. Similarly, if I am saying that section so and so of that law says so, the court will take a judicial notice of that. At best, I can show, okay, this is the law, look at it. Then there are presumptions. What is a presumption? The judge will start taking certain thing as a proved. Say if there is a case of a rape, what is proved against the accused is that he was involved in the sexual intercourse which is necessary for the offense of rape. As you know, that if she was consenting, there is no rape. Law does not, punish two consensual adults if they indulge in any sexual relationship. But the law has created a presumption that it shall be presumed that she was not consenting. And the burden of proof will be on the accused. You prove that she was consenting. This is a presumption. If stolen property is found from somebody's possession, the law will start with this presumption that you have committed this theft. You are a thief. Now you say, no, I was going and I found this on the road and I picked it up. I am a finder of goods, like this. So you have to give explanation. Or if wife dies within first 7 years of marriage, the fact of the death is proved, then it is presumed, this was the law, that it was a dowry death. You prove that no, it was a natural death. There are people whose wife can die because of natural causes, because of accident, within first 7 years of marriage. So there are number of presumptions in law with which court will start that, okay, we take it as proved. Anybody who is challenging it, let him bring the evidence. I have suggested, Sanket, that for everyone who is born in India, we should start with the presumption that he is an Indian citizen. Anyone who says, no, we are in doubt whether he is an Indian citizen, so let him give the proof why there is a doubt. Rather than you asking me to prove my citizenship, if you say that you have doubt about my citizenship, you have to give the proof of that doubt. For instance, you can say, no, here is a birth certificate of this man. He was born in London on this date. Here is a birth certificate of his father and his mother, who are British nationals. Anyone who questions anybody's citizenship status must come forward to give the proof, rather than you asking illiterate, poor people who may not have any document. There are any number of cases in India on bigamy. As you know, for bigamy, you need to prove two valid marriages. So there are many people who are having second wife, and I'm talking of non-Muslims. So many non-Muslims may have a second wife. Let us take a Hindu may have a second wife. Now, it is to be proved that the first marriage is valid and second marriage is also valid. So there are cases, Sanket, where first wife was not able to prove the marriage, because under Hindu marriage, you may have Satpati, but you do not have any document like Nikah-nama. And most of us are not using court marriages. So many times the first wife has failed on this. There are cases where our intelligent people don't take 7 steps, they take 5 steps. And therefore, if you have taken 5 steps, the second marriage is not valid, it is not complete in law. So if there are no two complete marriages, then of course you are not guilty of having two wives at a time and they escape liability. In Assam, since this whole question of citizenship was so much discussed in last 30, 40 years, that people were more conscious of preserving their documents. As a result, 3.11 crore people could prove that they are Indian citizens. But what has happened? It has been 7 years. Not a single person whose name was included in NRC Assam, which was conducted under the direct control of Supreme Court of India. You had a Chief Justice who was also from Assam, Justice Gagoi. Why nobody has been given a citizenship certificate? I'm not talking of those 19 lakh unfortunate people. Of course, none of them have also been issued any notice to prove their citizenship before the Foreigners Tribunal, because we need to do politics. We don't want to settle, at least in one state, where we have spent 1,200 crores or 1,100 crores in undertaking such a difficult exercise, which was done with lot of sincerity, I would say. People had traveled distances to collect their data. Of course, women were adversely affected because many were young brides. Child marriages are rampant there, so they were married to another village. As a result, their name is not entered because they have not turned 18 in the electoral roll of their father's place, and now they are at their in-laws' place, and of course they are not going to have any birth certificate or any document there. Still, one has to salute the people of Assam. That massive majority of them was able to get included within NRC. Rickshaw pullers from Bihar, laborers from Bihar who are working in Chennai, in Gurgaon, they are not having documents. Let us accept that document keeping in India is not at a level at which you have in developed countries. So this whole insistence on documents may eventually lead to artificially exclude people who are definitely our citizens. Number of people who have been pushed to Bangladesh, with the intervention of the Supreme Court, we had to bring them back. Why we had to bring them back? Because basically they had proofs that they were Indian citizens. Number of people whom we want to deport to Bangladesh, saying they are not Indian citizens. Then we need to have a solid proof that they are citizens of Bangladesh. Then only Bangladesh will take them. If they are born in India, why will Bangladesh take them? So these are important questions, on which we need to have discussion and debate with ruthless objectivity, with no politics. Let us not politicize this issue.
Professor Mustafa, do you think what is happening is the other way around? Ruthless politics with no objectivity?
I don't know. Maybe this clarification was not issued with some politics in mind. It is a general statement which some officer has issued looking at law. So I will not attribute motives unless I myself am fully convinced. But
okay, Professor Mustafa, let me ask you this question. Yeah, let me ask you this question in a different way.
It has created in people's mind.
That is why my next question: do you feel that the stress is just too much on what is not proof of citizenship and not on what is proof of citizenship? I don't see the government telling me, like for instance, suppose as a citizen, if I were to keep certain documents with me, all the documents that are publicly available, the government has said is not valid proof of citizenship. So what is? I don't see an argument on those lines.
No, that from here, Sanket, they will say that since citizenship card is that document, we will now issue that document. And to issue that document, they will ask documents. Now, very same documents which are not proof of citizenship, they may ask. Say the 11 documents in Bihar SIR on which Election Commission insisted, none of them is a proof of citizenship. Yet they insisted. High school is not a document. Your bank ID, your property, anything, no document is there. So some documents one has to accept. What I am trying to say, that we need to do two things. One, anyone who is born in India must be presumed to be Indian citizen unless proved otherwise by the person who challenges that person's citizenship. Burden of proof should not be on that person, but on the one who questions. Two, if somebody is having passport, which you cannot issue to a non-citizen except in exceptional circumstances, about which you have very clearly said that if you acquire the passport of some other country, then your passport will be withdrawn, about which you very clearly say in law, if a non-citizen has acquired the passport or acquired passport through forgery or misrepresentation or concealment of fact, punishment will be 1 year to 5 years. Then anyone who has been issued passport with police verification by the government of India, this is a document which is issued only to citizen, it should be taken as a conclusive proof of citizenship. And if something is the conclusive proof of citizenship, evidence law, Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam 2023, very clearly says no evidence can be given to rebut it. Similarly, voter ID. You register somebody as a voter only when he is citizen of India. You satisfied yourself that he is citizen of India. Now, that should also be taken as a conclusive proof. I will give you another argument. There is a principle that if I say something, I cannot deny it subsequently. This is called law of estoppel. If you had accepted a position, you will be stopped from backtracking from that position. Since the government has issued passport and the voter ID, then it should be stopped from denying the citizenship to the person it has issued. You have issued it. You have accepted me as a citizen.
Sir, unless proven otherwise. Unless
proven otherwise by them. They have to say, okay,
correct,
we issued you voter ID, but now this has come to our light that you are not an Indian citizen because you are a US citizen. There are people like this. You know, in last few years, some 15 lakh Indians have become citizens of other countries. They have surrendered Indian citizenship. So there may be many people who have become US citizen but not surrendered Indian citizenship. So if government comes to know that somebody is, even in the citizenship register, as and when it is made, it will only certify you are a citizen on that date, because subsequently you may not be a citizen. You may be a citizen today, but tomorrow you may acquire citizenship. So citizenship will not be a permanent thing. One can give up citizenship, acquire citizenship of another. No, what I am trying to say, look at the absurdity of argument. You give Indian citizenship only, you give Indian passport only to Indian citizens. When an Indian citizen acquires the passport of another country, you say that he is not Indian citizen, he has acquired passport. So your own passport, why don't you accept? The whole word, in the preamble of the Passport Act, very first line, in the preamble itself, it says that this act is being passed to enable citizens of India to travel abroad. The first line of law is this. How come our government officials don't read the law, its first line? Then it also says, very interestingly, that this law, in terms of application, extends to whole of India and to all the citizens of India living abroad. It extends to them. So, Passport Act is basically about citizens of India. You cannot deny that you have issued passport and you will not accept that it is just a travel document. It is a travel document, true, but of citizens of India.
With certain exceptions, but you see the exceptions are being highlighted more.
In section 20, one rare exception.
Yeah, I think the most important highlight of what you have said, Professor Mustafa, is assumption of citizenship, and the burden of proving that somebody is not should be on the person alleging, which in this case could be the government, because obviously it will have the ways and means to prove that someone is not.
Sanket, just government. You look, what is a real danger? My neighbor, some activist of some political group, some fringe organization, they will say that house has non-citizen, this house had, it will create havoc. And therefore, anyone who says it, they are free to say it. Let them bring the documentary evidence that XYZ is not citizen of India. I had written something very interesting, Sanket, that there was a time when our Supreme Court said that people who may have Pakistani passport, still we will treat them as Indian citizen. फंस गए वहां पे जाके, they got stranded during partition. Suddenly partition was announced. As you know, that it was preponed by a year. Now there were traders who were moving because it was part of our country. Now they can, since partition has happened, they cannot come to this side without obtaining the passport of the side where they are. So they had to obtain Pakistan's passport. And when they came here and they are arrested, the matter went to the court. The court said, no, they are Indian citizens. Now we are trying to say people who have our own passport may not be considered as Indian citizen. That looks, I think, strange.
So I think this is fairly conclusive what you have said, that let's not hide behind technicalities that this is a travel document or this is a voting document, because as a point of technicality, it may be true, but these are documents meant for Indian citizens. So there should be an assumption of citizenship. I think this whole point of assuming citizenship is something that I haven't heard a lot of people make. So Professor Mustafa...
No, there should be presumption of citizenship. Yeah. After all, Sanket, any law is made to make life of people comfortable. Laws are not made to make the life of people difficult. So let us accept. We have a different law about Assam. Now, about Assam, we said that people who have crossed over after 1st January 1966, they will also be considered Indian citizen. Who have crossed over before 1966 will be Indian citizens. Those who have crossed over between 1966 to 71, when Bangladesh will be created, they will be our citizens. They will be issued passport. It is clearly written in section 6A of Citizenship Act, because this is Assam Accord. They will be issued passport. They will be Indian citizen for all purposes, except that from the date of registration, they will not have right to vote for 10 years. So law is clear. And then we said in that law, anyone who crosses over after Bangladesh has been created in 1971 is not our citizen. We are not going to give any privilege. They are to be detected, deleted, and deported. So law is clear. Now this law has been upheld by the Supreme Court now. 2024 judgment of the Supreme Court, they said law is valid. For rest of the country, the law is different. The cutoff dates are different. On this side, western border, the cutoff dates are different. So laws are made keeping in view the realities of our life. I think the size which we have, the poor state of documentation which we have in our country, anyone who is an Indian citizen should be presumed as an Indian citizen unless proved otherwise. Anyone who is having passport or voter ID which has been issued by the government after ascertaining your citizenship must be taken as a conclusive proof of citizenship.
Professor Mustafa, how would you respond to certain arguments that are being made that you look around in our neighborhood and everywhere there is an exercise like the NRC, and that is the basis of determining whether a person is a citizen or not? So why should India be any different? This argument has been placed by very many people within the government.
No, India is too big. We could have started it at the time of independence. We have not done it. We may do it, but this process should not be exclusionary. If we want to do it, we should do it to include people as citizens rather than exclude. If the exercise is going, what is going to happen? Tell me, Sanket. You raised a very pertinent question. If tomorrow, let us say, out of 145 crore Indians, 30 crores are not able to prove their citizenship, where will you deport them? Tell me, which country is going to accept 30 crores? In which Indian Ocean or Arabian Sea you are going to dump them? So when we do some exercise, it has to have an object. And Article 14 of our Constitution says it must have a rational object. The rational object should be that if non-citizens are here, they are to be excluded. Therefore, for most people, presumes citizenship. And in any case, if say, let us say if any foreigner is crossing over and you arrest them, entering India, either on western border or on eastern border, or from Sri Lanka, somebody is trying to enter, or Bhutan trying to enter, or Nepal. Now on that person, I will not say that you don't put the burden of proof. Put on him burden of proof that he is Indian citizen. Some foreigner is caught in India with a foreign passport. Ask him to prove his Indian citizenship. Maybe circumstances were such that he is having a foreign passport just to come to India. He got stranded in some war there. He was born there. Whatever. But if you are talking of people who are born in India and who are residents of India, then of course you must presume their citizenship.
Correct. Professor Mustafa, thank you very much. Always enlightening to listen to what point of view you have. And I think this is actually something, food for thought for everyone, that the burden of proving citizenship should not be on the people, because it's not their fault. And they've lived in this country for far too long. And you can't expect people to stand in queues just to prove that they're citizens of this country. Thank you very much, Professor Mustafa, for joining us. Thank you.